Hello guys, what is going on? Welcome back to Sport Talk, and today we are going to be doing a tier list, kind of a record prediction for how I think this season is going to go for these teams. So up here obviously we have the 12 plus wins. These are the guys that are probably going to be Super Bowl contenders or just really good in the regular season. The 10 and 11 teams, we've got kind of like dark horse contenders that I think could be a really good football team this year. 8 and 9, sneaky wild card teams. 6 and 7, just teams that are mediocre. 4 to 5 teams that are either in a rebuild or are going to be rebuilding, and then the Cardinals. So let's get it started up here with the Saints. I like their roster. Their coach is an idiot, so I'm gonna put them at 8 and 9. I have the Falcons winning that division. I think it's going to be hard fought, and obviously that division is absolutely terrible. And, this is actually the first year that it's really been up for grabs, and the Saints have a shot. I just don't think they're coached very well, and I think that's really going to hurt them in the long run. So let's move on to the Dolphins. I like Tua. If he can stay healthy, they are an 11-win team. They move the ball really well. They score a lot of points. Defensively, they got better. And obviously, adding a big name like Jalen Ramsey helps your rep, makes your secondary a little more weird. So I've got them at 10 wins. Moving on to the Ravens, I think that they're going to be bad this year. I think Lamar Jackson is going to have a bad year. Obviously, added Beckham. I mean, maybe he'll be a better passer this year, but I don't see a scenario where the Ravens are a really good football team. I'll have them at 8 or 9 wins, maybe 9. I've got them at 8 wins because their division is so good this year with the Bengals, the Browns, and the Steelers all in playoff contention. And the Bengals, the Steelers are going to be really good this year. Obviously, the Steelers are going to at least have 9 wins, so, we'll see what happens. Next up is the Bengals. I've got them at 12 wins. They're my Super Bowl, they're my main Super Bowl contender. I really like the Bengals this year, and I think they have a shot to win the Super Bowl. Joe Burrow, obviously fantastic wide receiving core. They got a better offensive line. Their defense, obviously they lost a little bit in the secondary, but their defense is just still so good. And I have a lot of faith in the Bengals this season. Next we got the Broncos. My team personally, I can't put them any lower than 10 wins because I just don't see how that roster can fail, especially now with Sean Payton. Their roster has no excuse to be bad this year. I think they're going to have 10 wins. Maybe 9 is their floor, but I've got them at 10 wins. They could surprise us. They could get 12, or they could just be absolutely terrible like they were last year and have 4 wins. Really don't know about the Broncos this season, but I'm confident putting them at 10. The Giants, they have such a good roster. I don't know whether to put them in 6 wins or 10 wins. I'm going to put them at 8 or 9 wins. Probably 9. I like the roster. I like Darren Waller. I actually do like Daniel Jones. I like their defense. Obviously, Daboll. I don't care what you say about Nick Sirianni. Daboll is definitely the best coach in that division. They made it to 10 wins with a terrible roster, or with a terrible wide receiving core last year. So I think that adding Darren Waller is huge, and I think he'll really help that offense to actually score some points this year. So I've got them at 9 wins. They have a tough schedule, so like I said, 9 wins is about where they're going to be. The Vikings, they are not going to win as many of those 1-point games. I've got them at 8 wins. That division is good, They play the Packers twice, and Jordan Love looks good. I think the Packers will give them games. I think they'll beat them at least once. The Lions are potential Super Bowl contenders depending on how they play tonight. I like the Vikings. I like their roster, but they lost their star running back. They lost some players on defense. They lost some of their depth. They got they got Jordan Addison in the draft, and that's about it. Just to me, the Vikings aren't a team that I would be scared to play. Rams, 4 wins. They are not a good football team. They traded their future for 1 year, and they got their Super Bowl, but look at where they are now. They're going to have at least a few more years of being terrible to mediocre. Matthew Stafford will be back, but I don't know if he'll be any good. Cooper Kupp obviously will carry the offense. I think they'll squeak out 4 wins. Obviously, they'll get 2 free ones against the Cardinals. The other 2, I don't see them anything other than upsets. So that's what I've got them there. Next, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 6 wins. Can they get 8 or 9 wins? Yes, they have a good enough roster. Will Baker Mayfield get them those wins? Probably not. So with little faith in Baker Mayfield, I put them at 6 wins, 7 potentially. They could even get 9. The roster, like I said, is fine, but Todd Bowles is a moron, and Baker Mayfield is so unproven, and he's at best mediocre. So that's why I've got them. Lions, 11 wins. Lions are going to win the division. You know, they have one of the best rosters in the league. They have an awesome coach. They have a hard division, but I mean, I think they're better than everybody in that division, and I think they have a shot at the Super Bowl. 12 wins, I don't think is what... I can't put them any higher than 11 wins considering their season last year. Obviously, they went 8-2 in the last 10 games, but I don't know. We'll see with the Lions. Next up, we got the Bears, and I've got them with 6 wins. Because, you know what? 5 wins. Justin Fields is terrible. He plays every game terrible except for like 3 plays that he gets on highlight reels and everybody calls him an MVP candidate. He is not a good quarterback. He's a poor man's Lamar Jackson, and I don't even like Lamar Jackson, so Justin Fields, not a good quarterback. I don't see the Bears winning many games this year. Personally, they're not gonna have a good season. It's gonna be a long season for Bears fans again. 49ers. My pick for you guys is so dependent on whether or not Brock Purdy is the same player he was last year and whether or not teams have figured out a way to stop him. I personally don't think Brock Purdy will be as good as last year. You see my video, I'll put a link in the description. I believe they made a huge mistake trading Trey Lance. And so for that reason, their roster is so good, and they're desperate to win the season after they paid Nick Bosa so much money. I've got them at 11 wins, or 10, probably 11. They're not going to be as good as last year. I think Brock Purdy will be fine, but he's going to be a game manager this year. He's going to be the guy getting carried this season. So that's my prediction for the 49ers. I hope I'm wrong, because I like that roster and I like Brock Purdy, but I just don't know. We'll see what happens. They're a question mark this season. Philadelphia Eagles, 9 wins. 9 wins. You know what? I'm sticking to my guns. Everybody says the Philadelphia Eagles are so good. They really lost so much this offseason. Obviously, they're still probably the best at D-line in the entire league. I don't think Sirianni is as good of a coach as everybody says he is. I think teams, now that they have a lot of tape on Jalen Hurts, will figure out a way to stop his running. As a passer, Hurts is fine, but you take away A.J. Brown and Hurts really can't do anything. So I've got the Eagles at 9 wins, maybe 10. We'll see what happens if that defense can come back after last season. I don't like the Eagles this season, and I don't think they'll be very good. I don't think they're going to win their division either. Next up, the Raiders, 6 wins. Jimmy G is a product of Kyle Shanahan. I love Jimmy G. He's such a handsome man. I love him, but he's not it this season. And I mean, Devontae Adams is good, but he's getting older. Their coach is a moron. Their defense is fine. I just don't see a scenario where the Raiders are good this year. Green Bay Packers, 9 wins. Jordan Love needs to be good this year if they want to be good. I mean, they can't be good if Jordan Love isn't good. So, Christian Watson, I love Christian Watson. He came from my school and he's such a baller. The defense, I like the defense. I like the O-line. I like most of the wide receivers. Like I said, I like their running back core. Just depends on if Jordan Love, because if Jordan Love is good, they're an 11-win team. If Jordan Love is bad, they're a 7-win team. So I gotta put him right in the middle because Jordan Love is so unproven. He's looked good in the preseason, but the preseason doesn't mean much. So we'll see what happens there. Next up, we got the Washington Commanders, 7 wins. Washington Sam Howell needs to prove himself before I can give them any more than 7 wins. I like their roster, same as the Packers, to be honest. They have a good team, it just depends on whether or not their quarterback can play football. So we'll see what happens there. Arizona Cardinals, obviously I made an entire tier for them. They are the worst team and the worst roster in the NFL. I don't see a situation where they have any more than 3 wins. They're going to cut Kyler, either that or they're going to trade him in the offseason. They're going to draft Caleb Williams. And that's going to be the end of the whole Kyler Murray thing. I said it from the start. I said it the day he was drafted that he was going to be a bust. Kyler Murray was never that good of a quarterback. And obviously all the memes about him never studying film. Yeah, he's getting traded or cut. Next up we got the Steelers. 10 or 11 wins. We'll see what happens. They're still in the same division as the Bengals. So I'm predicting they're gonna split with the Bengals, but they're gonna beat the Ravens. They're gonna beat the Browns at least once. Obviously it's always tough to play your divisional rivals, and all of them are the Steelers' rivals. So yeah, no, I like the Steelers. I like Kenny Pickett. I like their roster. George Pickens on my fantasy team. I really hope he does well this season. So yeah, I got him at 10 wins. Bills. I know everybody says they're going to take a step back this year, and I think they'll take a small step back, but not that big one. I've got them at 10 wins, potentially 11. Josh Allen is still Josh Allen in the regular season. Stephon Diggs is still good. They still have Von Miller in 4 weeks. They still have that defense. They still have their coach, Sean McDermott, and I like them. They're a good football team. Next up, we have my division winners, the Atlanta Falcons, at 9 wins. 9 wins, but they're going to beat the Saints. They're going to beat the Saints out for the tie. Bijan Robinson is going to carry that offense, with that offensive line being so good. Desmond Ridder needs to prove himself. Same thing as Washington and Green Bay. But he has a better offensive line and he has a better run game potentially than both of these teams. So I like the Falcons. I like their defense. I really like what Arthur Smith has been doing with them the past couple years. They're a different team than they were a few years ago, and I love it. So we're going Falcons at 9 and 8. Next up, the Seattle Seahawks. Geno Smith. Will he be as good as last year? Probably not. So I've got them at 8 wins. This division is good, but they still have to play the 49ers twice a year. Obviously, they get a few free wins from the Cardinals and the Rams, but the Seahawks don't have an easy schedule. Geno Smith is still unproven. He needs to have another good season for me to believe that he is a starter in the league. We'll see what happens. I mean, I like Geno, but like I said, he's unproven, so we'll see what happens with the Seahawks. Obviously, Pete Carroll's still a great coach. New England Patriots, they are my surprise team to actually not be bad this year. I think they're going to be another 9-win team. They're going to beat Miami at least once. I think they'll beat the Jets once. They're going to split with all the teams in their division because I think the Patriots are a good football team. Bill Belichick is still a great coach. Mac Jones is going to have a bounce back year is what I think. They still have a good run game, especially adding Ezekiel Elliott for a good third down back. I like the Patriots, I think 9 wins is about where they're going to be though. Because, I mean, obviously they still have a limitation, just on a talent-wise. Browns. Will Deshaun Watson be Deshaun Watson? No, I've got them at 7 wins. I don't like the Browns. I don't like their felon of a quarterback. I don't like a lot of things. I don't like Cleveland. Just, they don't know how to win. And so I've got the Browns at 7 wins. Another season of mediocrity. Another season of beating the Browns. Next up, we got the Texans. Surprisingly, I think they're going to be better than expected, but they're still only going to be 5 wins. I mean, I think I expect them to be 4 wins, but I think they'll be 5. They still have a very shaky roster. They have a good coach, a good unproven coach, but I think DeMeco Ryans is going to be a good coach there. And I I just don't think that their roster is good enough to be any more than 5 wins. See, if CJ Stroud is good, even though he's an Ohio State quarterback, he still doesn't have anybody to throw the ball to. And if you don't have anybody to throw the ball to, you're probably not going to be very good. Unless you're Patrick Mahomes, which leads us into the Chiefs, who obviously are going to be a 13 to 14 win team. Probably obviously a Super Bowl contender, in my opinion, this season. Not my Super Bowl favorite, but they're definitely up there because they still have Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid and Travis Kelce. So as long as they have those three, they're going to be competitive. Next, we got the Cowboys. I give Dak Prescott 2 weeks before getting benched, and when he does, Trey Lance will lead the team to 11 wins and a division title. I like the Cowboys. Their roster is good. I don't like their coach, but the roster is so good that I think they can win. I think they can go to the Super Bowl, to be honest. I mean, they're Dallas, but who knows? They might have a shot. So, especially with a new breath of fresh air at quarterback, getting Mr. Pick Magnet out of there, and the new running back, Deuce Vaughn, and Hunter Lipke, who's a surprise out of North Dakota State. I think the Cowboys are going to be good. Obviously, Tony Pollard, great running back. So that's my prediction for that. The Cowboys. Next up, we got the Chargers. They are going to be okay. They're going to be an 8-win team, in my opinion. They're not going to be as bad as the Raiders, but they're going to lose to Denver once. They're probably going to lose to the Raiders once. They're going to lose to the Chiefs twice. You know, the Chargers they're a good team in a division that is too good. So that's all I can say for that. Obviously, their coach needs to be fired. Herbert is a great talent, so I mean, we'll see what happens with them. New York Jets. Aaron Rodgers is there. There's so much going on that the Jets could win a division title, but I have them at 10 wins right behind the Bills because I don't think that they have enough. They don't have a winning culture in New York. Obviously, they were better than they've been in a long time last year with Zach Wilson at quarterback. Their defense fantastic, their offense fantastic, but I don't know if the Jets know how to win in the late season. They fell apart last year in the late season. With Aaron Rodgers there, I do think they will make the playoffs and they will have 10 wins, and I think they'll make a playoff run. But for this first year, the Jets just need to learn how to win a football game. I mean, that's gonna be the issue this year. I think next year they're contender. But in the first year of having a great roster for the first time in a long time, I don't see them being that great this year. I think they're a 10-win team. Carolina Panthers. Bryce Young is going to be a bust. Not because he's not smart, not because he's not talented, but because he's too small to play the quarterback position. I've got them at 6 wins because they do have a good enough roster and a good enough coach to get those 6 wins, and they'll get them honestly. So I think 2 of them are going to be upsets. Obviously, they're going to beat some of the bad team or the bad team in their division twice. They're gonna beat Tampa Bay at least once. They're probably gonna sneak out a win against the Falcons once. They're gonna probably beat the Saints once. You know, we'll see what happens there. It's an easy division to win games in. We'll see what happens with the Panthers. Next up, we got the Tennessee Titans. It's hard to place the Tennessee Titans because I love their coach and I love their team and I love their roster. But at the same time, they got a pretty tough schedule. They play the Jags twice a year. The Jags are a good team. I don't know where to put them. I'm going to put them at 8 wins because I do think Vrabel is a good enough coach. He can get that roster to 8 wins. We'll see what happens with Ryan Tannehill and or Will Levis or Malik Willis, depending on which of the 3 will start. But yeah, that's about all I have to say for the Titans. Next up, we got the Colts, 4 wins. Anthony Richardson is my favorite quarterback out of this draft class, but he's also a project. He's also somebody who's a lot like Josh Allen, who needs a year to kind of get settled into the league. And their roster's bad. JT is going to be leaving potentially, and even if he doesn't, that's still some toxicity on your team that you don't want to deal with. So I guess we'll see what happens with the Colts. Jaguars, 2 wins. No, I'm joking. 10 wins. Jaguars are not good enough to have any more than 10 wins. Doug Peterson, great coach. Trevor Lawrence, great. Good team. Calvin Ridley, potentially great. We'll see what happens. But, I mean, they're still in the AFC. They'll win the division, but once again, they're still in the AFC. So it's going to be tough to win any games. But, I mean, the Jaguars proved last year that they can win. We'll see if that'll continue this year. And there you have it. That is my 2023 NFL record predictions. We'll see how many of these are right. I'm going to guess none of them. But, we'll see what happens. So make sure you like and subscribe for the YouTube algorithm. And comment what you would place these teams and if I'm an idiot or not. So thank you very much. And this is Gabe Burnson from Sport Talk signing off.